Excellent. So thank you guys for joining us today for Goal Getters with Dr. Amy Davenport. Many of us are getting started and have already hit the ground running with the Fit Start Challenge. And one of those new things in the Fit Start Challenge this year is we have encouraged you guys to identify a goal to work on throughout the challenge and even beyond. So Dr. Davenport's going to help us with being successful in identifying those goals and how to reach those short-term and long-term. So thank you so much, Dr. Amy Davenport.
Thank you. I appreciate the invite to be here today. And just one more reminder before everybody, I know we've had a few more names come on. This is being recorded so that it can be referenced at another time. So just FYI. But goals are one of those things that as we target what we're after, we need to set them, and we need to set them to where we can achieve them. And we know when we're successful. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share my screen. Dun, dun, dun. All right. How does that look, Lindsay? Are we on?
Looks great.
Okay, fantastic. All right, so one accomplishment at a time, one step at a time. We've probably all heard that saying, how do you walk 500 miles? One step at a time. And that is one of the best ways to figure out how you're going to get someplace is what does each step mean to you? When we look at change over time, we have to look at what that progress is. Have you ever tried to take a piece of that old school yarn, that acrylic yarn? My mom used to make all kinds of blankets and stuff out of it. And then you ever try to take a strip of it and then just kind of lay it in a straight line? You can't do it. And so progress is a lot of times like that strand of yarn. When you try to lay it in a straight line, it simply won't go in a straight line. So our progress can be squiggly. It can go up, it can go down, it can go backwards, and then we can go forwards. But overall, what we're looking at is a progress. And that progress, it's one step at a time. That little visual helps me out a lot when I start to think, oh, this isn't quite going right. It's like yarn, change is like yarn. When we look at the stages of change, there are different stages that we all go through. Now, many of you might have thought about this challenge that's coming up. You might have thought about what kind of goals you were going to have. In December, we close out a month of reflection. At the end of the year, we have a tendency to look back at everything. Then when January comes, we're looking forward. Well, this is part of the change model as well. When you look at what that pre-contemplation was, so as we were reviewing our lives, for example, in December, and figuring out how we might want to make some healthier choices for January, we're looking at what we've done and where we want to go. Well, with this, there is the pre-contemplation. That one is a tough one because that's where somebody might realize, yeah, I might want to change that, but they don't see any action coming maybe in 6 months or longer. They know that there might need to be some change, but they're not ready yet. They're likely not aware of how much the behavior that they're needing to change impacts their health or what those consequences are of that behavior. Change can also be viewed as just too much. Maybe they know that they really need to change, but it's just too much. Forget it. I just can't handle it right now. The pros of the current behavior outweigh the cons. And a lot of times the pros of that current behavior is that it's easy because it's what they've been doing. The contemplation change stage is seen where behavior is going to change probably within the next 6 months or so. The pros and cons of this are, how am I going to balance it? And there still might be mixed feelings from the person about what's it mean to change and about trying something new. Determination is also sometimes called the preparation phase. And that's where a lot of people have been the end of the month of December, moving into January with their goals. That's where action is coming within probably 30 days. And small steps are being made. Again, how do you walk 500 miles? One step at a time. And it's also that phase where we have to believe. So I go back to the whole Ted Lasso thing, that there is the belief that change can be made. There are some folks in our office that even have the sign up over their doors that say, believe. If you haven't watched Ted Lasso, now you know a little part of the story, but you have to believe. And then finally, action. That one is, we know what is happening, change is happening, and the modifications may continue to happen. When we hit into the maintenance phase, or somebody relapses again, think that string of yarn, or we can go into the maintenance phase. And that's where the change has been so much a part of our lives that we're doing it. That is our normal now. And it's usually been at least 6 months so that fully sets in. So think about that. So many times in our society and our culture, we think change is instant. It's not. It takes time and it takes practice. And some of that practice comes into our basics. So in particular, most of the time when obviously you signed up for a challenge with Live Well. And so with that, we got to go back to the basics. When we're talking about change, so many of us, we talk about our health, and we often talk about our health in a food and an exercise those kinds of worlds there. One of the things that I really want to get rid of is this negative connotation of when we hear the word diet. I'm on a diet. What does that really mean? When I hear the word diet, it just makes me go, ugh. And I hear it so many times because we say it in a negative way. But really, a diet is a lifestyle. A diet is the good or whatever you're eating, but it's what is intended to eat. And I always like to think about the Oklahoma City Zoo. Every single animal in the Oklahoma City Zoo, they have people who are helping to figure out what their diet is, what they would find in nature, how their habitat would help them with their diet. It's a long-term gig for them. And that's how it should be for us too. Diet shouldn't be a short-term, I want immediate results, and then I'm probably going to stop it in 4 to 6 weeks. It needs to be for your lifetime. What's going to be right for you for a lifetime? So trying to get rid of that diet phrase, move it on. Exercise. I get asked a lot, exercise, what's the best kind of exercise? How do I do this? How do I do that? What would be good for my body? Well, we've got to think about what exercise is. Exercise is something to use repeatedly in order to strengthen or develop. Wow. And then we get into all these different types of exercise. Well, exercise, if you're curious about, well, how much should I be doing? What kinds should I be doing? We're not going to go into those areas with this goal setting process. However, this is the resource for you. And I think that when you get your email, these resources will come out too. So don't feel like you have to pop off and write down all of these websites. But the CDC has a very good page outline for exercise, what's the right amount for you. Also for food amounts, if you're curious about what food amounts are, I'm not a dietitian, not going to talk about specific diets because some are not for the long term, some are. The USDA My Plate is a long-term kind of thing. So definitely something that you can check out. And then when we get to our terms, just in summary here, short-term diet may yield results, but it's not sustainable a lot of times for the long term. And then you have to think, okay, if I'm starting this kind of practice, what's going to happen when I stop? We want continuous. We want to be healthful for the rest of our lives. Also, as far as diet, when we think about what we're eating for the long term, I heard a group come through this morning, and I heard someone say in our hallway here, I work at the Sarkey's Fitness Center on the Norman campus. Hey, if you just had Chick-fil-A, you can come over here and work it off. That's a misconception. And so you cannot out-exercise your diet. It's just not feasible. For one, you have to have good nutrition to be able to fuel your body. You've got to start thinking about food as fuel. And some of the common things that are said are abs are made in the kitchen. Abs are made in the gym, but revealed in the kitchen, and muscles are made in the kitchen. That's because it goes down to the fuel. And then I always get asked, what's the best exercise that somebody can do? It's the one you're actually going to do and you're going to enjoy. You have to find something that makes you happy. You have to find something that's good for your body. And they have to join together. Also, one of the issues that people have when it comes to goals and it comes to making change, I call it paralysis by analysis. Now, I did not come up with that, but it is something that is said oftentimes in our field, paralysis by analysis. That means that we read and we read and we read. How many books are out there about the proper way to eat? How many books are out there about the proper way to exercise? There are so many, and we'll get so many different ideas from so many different places. It really doesn't have to be that difficult. And we often just inhibit our progress by thinking about it too much. So we have to keep it simple. The best way to walk 500 miles again, one step at a time. So keep those goals, keep it short and simple. The KISS method, and that is an updated KISS method. I don't know which one that you've heard in the past, but keep it short and simple is a nicer version than the old one. Also, when we're talking to ourselves, and I don't know about you guys, but I talk to myself all the time. We hear those words in our heads, we hear things, and sometimes we'll hear, oh, I have to go do that. If you ever hear yourself saying, I have to go exercise, oh, you get to go exercise. How cool is that? I get to go exercise. I want to go exercise. I know how good it is for me. I also know I can do it. And that is important. I can do it. And so it's never I have to, it's I get to. Also, this one is from my dad. Should, never, did anything, will and am are all over it. So if I should go do that, tells me you're probably not. We've got to change that language to I will. Okay. Smart. Talking about goals. Smart. They've got to be smart. Specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. These elements are for goals are how we're going to know when we are hitting some of our benchmarks that we set for ourselves. And that's what you're doing with your goals. We're breaking down 500 miles to one step at a time with SMART goals. So some of the goals that I have received from doing this presentation look a little bit like this. My goal is to stop eating so much sugar and hopefully lose some weight as a byproduct. My goal is to lose weight and have less fatigue. My goal is to get some weight off my joints and get better gut health inside and out, which is fantastic because Health Sciences Center is doing some great research on gut health and diabetes prevention kind of stuff, and I love it. To lose weight, I want to be able to walk further and get healthier, to build a healthy meal plan. Oh, I gotta tell you, if I look at these goals, I'm already worn out. I am worn out because these are big and I don't have a way for me to see that I'm going to be successful. So for example, how many decisions do you make in a day? Think about it. I decided to get up when my alarm went off. I decided to turn my alarm off when it went up. I decided to put my feet on the floor and roll off my bed the way that I normally do. I decided to take a shower. I decided to eat some breakfast. I decided to get in my car. I decided all of the stops, turns, corners, and roads to get to my work. We make decisions all the time, every single day. Some of them we think about and some of them we don't. One of the things that we have to think about are those decisions that help to make us healthier. Every single day, I have some choices that I get to make, and I'm excited to make because there are only 3 outcomes to every decision about my health. It's either going to make me healthier, it's either going to keep me the same, or it's going to make me worse. That's it. Those are the only outcomes. And so when we think about those decisions for stuff, when we're thinking about our goals, it can help us to really kind of make them a little bit more specific. So taking some, must have double clicked there. Okay, so a couple of more things. So the exercise goals that I've seen, get back to the gym and lose the 10 pounds I've gained over the past 3 months. Past 3 months, what's happened in the past 3 months? Well, I'll tell you, Halloween happened, Thanksgiving happened, and the holidays happened in December. A lot of people come out on the other end of that a little bit more than they were in September. Another goal was to build a workout plan that extends outside of F45. That's a fitness class that we have here on the Norman campus, and the treadmill. So they want to expand stuff. Okay, so moving forward on these goals, let's take the first one that we had up there, to stop eating so much sugar and hopefully lose some weight as a byproduct. Let's think about this. What does this mean? How could we make this specific? How can we make this measurable and attainable? Well, not knowing this person and not knowing how much sugar they're eating, let's just try to take some numbers to it. So my goal is to replace 25% of my regular sugar intake with whole fruit for the next 2 weeks. So that goal, now we have put a bookend on it so that we know when we're going to stop. It's 2 weeks. We know about 25%. So every time this person has a choice, a decision to make about what they're going to eat. They can think about sugar or possibly fruit. Now, I will tell you a secret. It's not really a secret, but a lot of people have that oh moment. If you have just a little bit of sugar in something and then you have a whole piece of fruit, that fruit is a lot more filling than that sugar. So you're probably going to start eating less if you start to make little replacements like this. And progressions could be for this goal. My goal is to replace 50% of the regular sugar intake with whole fruit for the next 2 weeks. Is this smart? Yes. Yes. And I get to have fruit. I always view fruit as nature's candy. And it really is, because it's sweet. It's awesome. One of my favorite things, types of fruit is coming out right now. It's a January orange kind of thing, mandarin orange, but it's not a mandarin orange. It's called a sumo. Oh, they're so easy to peel and they're so tasty. They are truly a treat. Also, if your healthcare provider has discussed with you your dietary needs, heed those and align to them appropriately. Very important. We've got to work our healthcare providers in there. To lose weight and have less fatigue. So this was another one of the goals. And less fatigue is another byproduct, just like the weight loss was in the last one. Well, we have to really think about this, because weight may be part of the reason for the fatigue, or fatigue could be part of the reason for the weight. See how that's kind of an iffy kind of thing there. Or fatigue could be a combination of things. Consider fatigue as a symptom. And let's look at this with both of these goals. So perhaps we take it down to, my goal is to lose on average 1 to 2 pounds per week during the month of January 2023. We know that 1 to 2 pounds is a good amount of weight to lose a week, and that's it. When we hear people say, oh, I lost 8 pounds last week, that's not the kind of weight that we're looking to lose. We're really looking to lose the fat. We want to hang on to the protein, which is our muscles, and we want to hang on to the water. So how will you do this? Because again, this goal can be broken down even further. My goal is to eat, according to my plate, at least 70% each week. Notice we're not saying 100%, because I'll tell you what, if anybody ever does 100% on something, we're setting ourselves up for failure. And we're setting ourselves up for rethinking everything, paralysis by analysis. So when we give ourselves a little bit of grace, it's not a bad thing. It's okay. We can also say my goal is to walk at least 15 minutes, at least 5 days each week. And the progression for February might be, my goal is to walk at least 20 minutes, 5 days each week. Depends on where you are. If you haven't been walking or you haven't been exercising, 10 minutes in a day might be all that you're up for, because you might start to realize how sore you are. One of the things that we caution about with exercise is that if people go in and they completely overdo it, they're going to be so sore. I don't know about you, but in my industry, I will hear people say, oh, I did a whole bunch of squats the other day. It sure does hurt to sit down. And it's like, and they probably won't go back to do squats anytime soon. So if we do too much of one thing, then that becomes a negative experience sometimes in our brains. And we want to be able to go and do things. So I always say, take it slow. We want the tendons and the ligaments as well to be able to keep up with the muscles. And they take time. And that is where overuse injuries and things like that can come in. If somebody goes in, 150%, and their body's not able to keep up with the change. And so we want to avoid that. So another thing to help with fatigue is water intake. My goal is to drink at least 8 cups of water each day. That could be a good goal. And you might say, well, how do we know exactly how much water we're supposed to take in? These guidelines were developed from a guy about 100 years ago by how much output he had. Somebody measured his urine. Okay. And so I might be larger than you, or you might be larger than me. I might have more muscles than you, or you might have bigger bones, more muscle, whatever. Depends on what we're doing. I might do sports that totally I sweat, you guys. I sweat like crazy. I might be doing stuff like that. That water is an individual assessment. 8 cups is a good place to start. Okay. So grab your waters. My goal is to go to bed at least 6 nights of the week by 9:30 p.m. and start my day at 6. I think it says 6 a.m. Sorry, there's pictures over my thing, so it's hard for me to see that. Can't see what I wrote on that. My goal is to explore at least 4 stress relieving activities to find something I may be able to do for the long term. We have to explore. When you get into fitness and you go take a class or something, you're like, yeah, that one wasn't for me. Try something else. Don't give up. Keep trying. And sometimes it comes down to the instructor, because sometimes you might get an instructor that they click with everybody or a lot of people, but maybe it just doesn't click with you. Or maybe you find somebody that's just like, that's my person. And you really fall in love with how they teach fitness classes. You've got to explore. You've got to look at everything else. Also about fatigue. If you have fatigue, you might want to see your doctor. And I've given some links here that are just some guidelines about when you might want to see a physician. Also, I'm going to go ahead and throw this out there because I know this is all OU folks here. And that is, if you are trying your best with diet, with exercise, with making change, and you are still struggling, get some medical help. Do not be shy about that. Our Health Sciences Center has excellent resources available for people for weight loss. And it doesn't necessarily mean, our heads a lot of times go surgery. That's not necessarily the case. There are other options as well. So do not hesitate to get that help if that is something that you need. All right. So we're going to go and move back on to the one about getting back into the gym and losing the 10 pounds I've gained over the past 3 months. Points to consider for this. We've already gone over our goals and everything. So I think that you probably have that down about how to break it down one step at a time. So this goal, I would look at one goal at a time. We have 2 in this statement, and that's exercise and eating. We have to be careful with this about paralysis by analysis, because if we try to do too many goals at a time, we're going to really have a hard time with that. When I'm trying to do a new goal, I personally have a hard time doing more than one goal at a time. And so I will kind of divide things up a little bit, depending on what they are. That might be something to think about. Also, when we're trying to lose weight, the weight on this, for this person, they said the past 3 months, it's how long it took them to put it on. It won't come off in a week, so we have to be patient. Okay. We also have to think about what's attainable in going to the gym. How many times do they want to go? You have to set yourself up for success. If you're starting from 0, going all in, again, we don't want to risk injury. And finally, that nutrition element. We can't outrun or out exercise a poor diet. And so we've got to think about what that is. In November, I had the opportunity to go to the, it's called Athletic Business, and they have different organizations that present at this conference. The Medical Fitness Association, which I just absolutely adore with the stuff that they talk about. Every presentation I went to with the Medical Fitness Association brought one thing in, was at the top of their list this year, and that was sleep, because sleep helps us with so many other things. So think about it. If we are lacking on sleep, we are probably not as likely to make good decisions, especially when we're tired. People have a tendency to reach for the high carb stuff. And I'm not talking the high healthy carb stuff. I'm talking about the donuts. I'm talking about the candy bars. I'm talking about that kind of stuff. So when we have sleep, we're better able to listen to our bodies and do the healthier things. Not to mention, it's the time for your body to repair itself. They also talked about strength training. So strength training was the other point at that conference that was so good. So sleep and strength training. Strength training is one of those things that is the fountain of youth, because as we age, we start to lose muscle mass. Muscle is what helps to burn our energy in our body. And so that is where, as we age, that is one way to help reduce some of the effects of aging, is to help maintain our muscles. Okay, so a little saying is focus on where you want to be and not where you were or where you currently are. Where are you going? And create that path to get there. And so finally, do something today for yourself and thank yourself tomorrow. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing the screen so that if we have any questions, we can answer the questions. Looks like we have some good conversations going on over here. Oh,
There was some pretty good convo going over there in the chat. There's a little humorous. I thought it was great. So
hey,
wonderful to keep things light. Wonderful to keep things light. I enjoy
yeah,
it.
I just think about all the extra exercise, those of you who took the stairs because of that fire drill just got in. Good job. One of our first intramural sports on this campus is doing stairs. So you got your medal. Good job. Are there any,
Absolutely.
oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, I say absolutely. And I really appreciate you, Amy, bringing in also sleep, the importance of sleep and how sometimes that gets, maybe not so high on our priority list. And that's one of the things right now at the Fit Start Challenge. We're really encouraging working on our sleep, giving attention to our sleep, physical activity and our fruit and veggie intake. So those are a lot of things that can be quite a challenge. Of course, we don't want to, if all of those three things are a challenge, be careful not to try to tackle all three of them, just that you're going to be 100% perfect with them. That's why this is a small team challenge. So you all work together. Maybe you have someone on your team that's a little bit better in the sleep department, someone else who's maybe a little bit, better, a little easier for them in physical activity. So this is an opportunity to help each other out.
And no, too, we all go through these periods where it's hard to sleep. And I'll share with you a little bit of my sleep routine right now because I've been having some sleep challenges in the evenings. And that is, I soak in Epsom salts a lot of times in the evening. And that will knock me out because it's relaxing. It's my time. It really helps me just fall asleep quickly. My whole family, I have a 16-year-old daughter and my husband, we are all aiming to go to bed around 9 p.m. right now. And we're actually making it because we're all up at 6 or before.
Awesome. We did have a question come in. Do we have to pay for a trainer just to find out a one-time settings for the fitness machines at Sarkey? So like if you go in and maybe you need a little extra assistance with working with those machines and utilize a trainer for that, is that something that you have to pay for a session to get that information specifically, or would you be able to go through kind of a quick info session with helping with some of those fitness machines to get a little bit more confident with them without paying an extra cost? How does that work?
Yeah, I would highly recommend that you tap into some of our free programs, and it does not matter what campus that you're on. For example, we've been running a program called Women on Weights, which is fabulous, and they help to cover a lot of these things about the machines as well as some of the free weights and stuff too. And then there are other things too, just about how to build a strength training program that would be helpful because they're also going to cover how to use these machines. Karen, I know where you work across the street from me. So if you want to reach out to me, we can probably make time up to figure some of this stuff out. If you can give me a few weeks, though, that would be really helpful.
Yeah, and I think, absolutely. For many people, going to the gym or exercise can be quite intimidating. So encourage you, to ask for help if there's something that is not clear to you, you don't know how to use a machine. It's a lot better. Encourage you to ask for help. They're not going to think you're weird or anything like that. Want to keep you safe. So
Yeah.
it absolutely encourage you to ask for help when needed.
And seriously, and that invitation is really, use me as your resource, because if I can't meet with you, I'll try to find somebody else. If you have questions about the facilities or something like that, email me, amy.davenport@ou.edu. And here's the other thing, that when we talk about going into a fitness facility or gym, one of the biggest complaints that I hear is, I'm not in shape. Well, yeah, if you're just not thinking about it and you haven't been doing the exercise, well, there's other people there who are. Yeah, because they've been there working on stuff. We can't have that intimidation factor. We got to get that out, And here's the deal. I'm not perfect, you guys. I am, for those of you guys who know me or you don't know me, I am not your little skinny mini person, but I teach all kinds of fitness classes. And fitness is not thin. You have to remember that. It is different for every body. And so we have to think about what that means. What is fitness for you? And so I can get into teach cycling sometimes, and we have students, I can kick their rears on the bike, but that's because that's might be what I'm doing. So if I've switched exercises, that might be different for you. I am really big into water fitness. That's my love. Absolutely, my big love is water fitness. And that is something that it's easy on your joints. I don't know about you guys. I have some major joint issues. I'm not going to overshare on this video, but if you ever want to know, are we still recording, Lindsay? We are not.
We are, but that's the
You
beauty
are.
of
I
it. I
can't
can
see
I can edit it. I can edit
That's
it.
okay. Yes, I have all kinds of joint problems. I've got arthritis. I got the whole bit. I'm older, but I'm not that old. Okay, I'll share. I'm 50. But I have to take care of my body every step of the way. I know that one thing is water is what will work for me, as well as stuff like cycling. If you ever see me out running, something's behind me. Okay, that's the only time I really run. So no, you got to know what works for you. And if you ever want to come and try fitness classes, or if you are, we have people from the Health Sciences Center, we have people from OU Tulsa that are like, well, do I qualify for a membership at Sarkey's? You do. If you live in Norman and you want to come to work out here, you can. That's not a problem. Or if you're on the OU campus or whatever, I don't care if you're whatever campus you're on and you want to come and try the facility, I'll give you a free membership to come in for a couple weeks. It's better to try it out than it is to buy it and then go have buyer's remorse. So come see if it works for you. If you want to come try my water classes, I teach them. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at noon, 45 minutes. We're quite the group. If you cannonball into the water with me, all the better.
Excellent. Looks like a lot of people really appreciate and enjoy your fitness is not thin, and I think that was great. Looks like a lot of people are going to make that sign now, post it in at their desk for that reminder that fitness is not thin. And so really loved that.
There's a lot that goes into that, because you can have somebody who's really thin, but they have no muscle. Or you could have somebody who's larger and they've got a lot of muscle. And so that muscle, to me, if you come to my classes, one of the things that I like to focus on are legs and rears in particular, because as we age, one of the things that will help keep you out of a nursing home is being able to stand up from a chair. And it's those glute muscles and things like that that are what start to get weaker, that as we age, we need to keep those going. Now, I do like arms and stuff because I want Michelle Obama arms. I don't know if you guys remember the arms on Michelle Obama. I haven't gotten there yet, but I am trying. So stickers and patches. You guys are awesome. All right, any other questions?
That's looking good. We can, just stay on for a little bit longer. If any of you think of a question that you want to ask Dr. Davenport, again, I'll send a follow-up email with the link for this. So if you missed any of it, you can refer back to it. And then also we'll have the slides, Dr. Davenport's slides as well. So thank you guys. Have a wonderful rest of your Friday and weekend. And thank you so much, Dr. Davenport.